cold wind cut across the wooden streets of the frontier town. Snowflakes drifted lazily, but the crowd gathered in silence was anything but calm. All eyes locked on the young woman tied to the post in the center of the square, her wrists bound with coarse rope, her tattered dress streaked with dried blood. Her chest heaved, her lips trembled, and with a voice barely louder than the wind, she whispered, "Please don't hurt me." The words fell like stones in the tense air, reaching the ears of the gunman standing before her. His coat flapped in the gusts, his revolver heavy at his side. The townsfolk watched with expectation, their faces hungry for justice or vengeance. They believed she was guilty, guilty of stealing, of lying, of betrayal. Guilty of something they never cared enough to prove. The man's hand rose slowly, brushing against her cheek, a shocking tenderness from someone with the power to decide her fate. His jaw clenched as he searched her eyes. In her gaze, he didn't see a criminal. He saw fear, desperation, and something else, truth. For a moment, he faltered. Behind him, an older man spat into the snow. "Do it! She deserves no mercy." Voices rose, echoing through the square, drowning out the quiet plea of the woman who trembled against the post. She bowed her head, hot tears carving lines through the dirt on her cheeks. The gunman turned his eyes away from her and looked at the crowd. These people wanted blood. They didn't care if she was innocent. They wanted a scapegoat. He had been their executioner many times before. But tonight something gnawed at him. Something inside refused to pull the trigger. His mind raced back to years earlier, to another snowy evening when his own sister had been dragged into a crowd just like this one. She had pleaded for mercy, but no one listened. He had been too weak, too powerless to save her. She was taken from him, buried under the lies of men who never saw her as human. Now, staring at this young woman, broken and bound, he saw his sister's face. The resemblance was haunting. The sound of her last scream still haunted his nights. This was no criminal. This was history repeating itself. He stepped closer, so close that the world seemed to pause around them. He cupped her face with rough, calloused hands, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Listen to me," he murmured low enough that only she could hear. "I know you're innocent, and I won't let them take you." Her breath caught. Shock and hope mingled in her tearful stare. "But they'll kill you," she whispered back. He didn't respond with words. Instead, his grip tightened, not in cruelty, but in determination. Then, in one fluid motion, he drew his revolver, not against her, but against the crowd. The gasps were audible. "Enough!" his voice thundered, slicing through the shouts and accusations. "This woman has done nothing. You call this justice? You tie a bleeding girl to a post and demand her death without proof?" His eyes scanned the men who had condemned her, their faces twisting with anger at his defiance. A hush fell. Snowflakes settled silently on hats and shoulders. One man stepped forward, red-faced with rage. "She betrayed us! She stole from us!" "Prove it," the gunman growled, leveling his weapon, "or you're no better than the outlaws you claim to despise." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Doubts spread like wildfire. The mob, once united, now faltered under his words. The accuser had no evidence, just venom, just fear. The gunman cut her ropes with his knife. Her hands fell free and she stumbled, but he caught her before she hit the ground. For the first time in days, she was no longer bound. Her sob of relief broke the silence, echoing louder than any gunshot. You'll regret this, the accuser spat. No, he said coldly, pulling the woman close. The only regret I have is that I didn't stand up sooner. Not for my sister, not for the others, but I will not watch another innocent soul destroyed to feed your hate. The crowd shifted, shame heavy in their eyes. One by one, men lowered their heads. The accuser's voice cracked with weakness now, powerless against the truth revealed in that moment. The gunman holstered his revolver and guided the trembling woman toward safety. Her steps were unsteady, but her spirit was unbroken. She looked up at him with gratitude shining through her tears. "You saved me," she whispered. He shook his head. "No, you saved me, reminded me who I am." As they walked away, the town behind them seemed smaller, weaker, its cruelty laid bare. And for the first time, the gunman felt something he hadn't in years: peace. Because in a world where mercy was rare and justice was twisted, he had chosen to break the cycle. He had chosen compassion over violence, truth over lies, courage over fear. And that choice changed everything. So, sometimes the bravest act is not pulling the trigger, but standing against the crowd and listening to the whisper of the innocent. Clap if this story touched you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and drop a karma in the comments below.